What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another weather forecast here by Age Weather Forecast. This would be another huge update on this major wave of Saharan dust crossing the tropical Atlantic and getting actually affecting portions of the United States, bringing in very muggy and dusty and cloudy conditions here. This is possibly the largest Saharan dust wave since really all the way into the 50s and 60s here. So biggest wave since really in 50 years. Absolutely crazy what we're seeing here right now taking place. Is going to halt the Atlantic hurricane season for the next coming days here. Really won't see any activity until July, but we're seeing extreme impact in the United States and portion of the Caribbean with the Saharan dust. It's very strong at this point. We don't really see Saharan dust so strong when it crosses this point in the Atlantic, and we're seeing very muggy, dry, in sandy-like conditions for portions of the United States already. I was in Florida for much of this week, as y'all know, and it was, let me tell you, it was sandy, it was dusty. You can just tell that it was Saharan dust, not just a normal cloudy day. It was supposedly supposed to be sunny, but then that cloud cover, that dust came in right when I got to Florida, and you couldn't even see the sunrise. But later in the day, it kind of cleared up a little bit. But you didn't really get to see the sun much when I was in Florida. And now it's in Georgia as I got here yesterday, and I actually took some photos right now. It's supposed to be sunny right now. If you look at my city, the Weather Channel, it shows really clearly sunny, but extremely different conditions than expected. But before we get in the video, please smash the subscribe button and like button to show your awesome support. And also be sure, of course, to share the video to any friends or family. But without further ado, let's get into the Saharan dust forecast. So here we are taking a look at the tropical tidbits here at the satellite imagery. As you see, we have a huge second wave of Saharan dust entering the tropical Atlantic and heading towards the Caribbean. And once again, you can tell this is the dust right here, that kind of grayish looking non-cloud cover on the satellite imagery. That's how big this dust cloud is. That's how big it is to really pick it up on the satellite imagery. And you see a ton of dust now as well for the southeastern coast here. Extremely dense dust cloud cover for Georgia, South Carolina, really including Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. You guys are seeing a ton of dense cloud cover, dense humidity and sand and dust all over in the atmosphere. Really, it's going to feel really dry and humid. Let me tell you that. As you see, we're seeing this cloud cover right here. That actually isn't the dust necessarily. That actually is normal cloud cover, but that dust is inside that cloud cover. So that's what we're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing orange cloud cover for portions of the southeast today. Orange cloud cover, maybe even brown cloud cover. And it's actually not rare to see brown rain when you have Saharan dust like that. We've seen it in the Saharan desert before, and since it's so dense as at this point, we can be seeing brown rain. It's also, the Saharan dust going to limit the probability of seeing rain. It's also going to limit the probability and really the chance of having tropical activity, whether it's tropical storms or invest in the Atlantic, really. So this is going to definitely change the outcome of what we thought was going to happen in June, the tropics. But we still have a couple more months, and actually we still have yet the most active months in general. The hurricane seasons left to come, including August, September, and October. Those months seem to be the most active, including extremely especially September seems to be the most active in general. So don't say, oh, we're not going to be seeing as active a season anymore due to this dust. But let me just tell you, this is once it clears out, it's going to be a very active season coming in. And also we have pictures of the Saharan dust in the Caribbean. Also right now in Georgia, northern Georgia, I took photos of this morning what it looks like, and I'm actually going to show that later in the video. But let's go and check out now this whole history of the Saharan dust track. So here we are taking a look at the history of the Saharan dust. As you see, it did obviously take a huge track to the east of these westerly winds, and it impacted really hard the Caribbean. As you see, it entered the Caribbean and then went through the Gulf of Mexico. And this is exactly when I was in Florida, right here in the Panhandle. We saw extremely high amounts of dust, and this is going to be impacting the south and really the southeast a lot. It's kind of at this point Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas. But look at this. This thing was absolutely mental at this point all the way in the Caribbean. We usually never see dust that strong and dense when it arrives at the Caribbean, and then it just scoops it right towards the United States, impacted a lot of Mexico, and now it's impacting the Gulf Coast, including Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, Texas, and that also going to be impacting portions of the Carolinas like we saw in the satellite imagery. But this dust, the amount of dust that came off the west coast of Africa was absolutely mental. And now the fact that it literally traveled thousands of miles and it still is very strong is absolutely crazy. This is definitely not something you see every single year, every 25 years for the United States or Gulf of Mexico seeing dust this strong. And like I said, we saw earlier, we had that second wave of dust, not as severe, but still seeing very good amount of dust entering portions of the Caribbean, but really high amount of demand of dust coming off the Saharan Desert with these really strong westerly winds coming up. This is really not good and going to be very unfavorable for the next coming weeks here for activity, or coming days for activity likely for off the coast of Africa. All we need is the Saharan Dust kind of to die off. Honestly, we just need this whole area to have very limited amounts of dust to have a ton of activity. But really, if this Saharan Dust continues to produce like it is now, we might not even have a very active season until August or end of July. It all depends. We don't exactly know when this dust is going to end at this point. We're having high amounts of dust continuing off the coast of Africa and portions of the Saharan Desert. It really all depends on, we don't exactly know when the Saharan Desert is going to be at the point where it's normal. This cloud cover or huge wave of dust wasn't even expected to happen. Really, this isn't as easy to predict as looking at the radar, the future radar. This is not as easy to predict. Look at this. We did not predict this dust happening whatsoever. Don't exactly know when it's going to head out. By next week, we should have a normal amount of dust for portions of the eastern Atlantic, or for the western Atlantic. But wow, this is absolutely crazy what happened here with this dust. Now let's go and check out other models here. Also check out other satellite imagery. Here we're checking out the satellite imagery for the Gulf of Mexico. You can just see, wow, this having a ton of dust right now. A ton of dust for portions of the Gulf Coast here, for portions of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, entering Florida and Georgia. You guys are seeing a ton of dust. It's absolutely crazy. Go ahead and send me some photos here if you have any, or send me a link of a photo that you have if you are seeing the Saharan dust here. I'm really seeing it. I'm gonna be seeing it for the next coming days. Gonna see some cloud cover and dusty conditions. Really, some orange looking clouds are expected. Really, we've seen those orange clouds already in Florida. We've seen those orange clouds already in Louisiana and Texas. And this really cloud cover and this dense Saharan dust will actually impact much more of the United States and impacting portions of Tennessee soon. The Carolinas, Mid-Atlantic, you guys are going to be seeing some dust. It's not at this extent, but look at the satellite imagery here in the southeast and the Gulf Coast. You can just see this dust here within these clouds. You can just see this dusty color inside these clouds. So we're seeing some really dusty and cloud cover here with dust. This isn't a normal cloudy day. This is cloudy dust. This is what you see in the Saharan Desert with this amount of Saharan Desert. That's really almost an every week thing you see in the Saharan Desert. And now we're seeing it for the first time this bad in the United States. And it's definitely out of the ordinary. We don't see these conditions. I know it may seem it's just different cloud cover or different type of cloud, but the amount of humidity, the brown rain, the just what we're seeing is not good at this time, especially obviously with the virus. This is going to limit the air quality, and as we know, it's respiratory. It's also a respiratory disease or respiratory virus. So this cloud cover this dust is not good for the time we're in right now, especially in the United States where it's blowing up once again. This is going to obviously worsen the air quality, worsen the breathing for people who have asthma, for people who have respiratory disease. This is not good. So if you have respiratory disease, respiratory problems, asthma, anything like that, you definitely want to limit the time you're outside, and especially if you're in the heart of this dust, because we also have obviously the virus, and now this dust is adding on to the probability of having a higher chance of having this virus or having a respiratory problem. So this air quality is going to be very low. especially in those areas, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas. You guys are going to be impacted really hard by this dust. Now let's go and check out now some photos that we have right now. Alright, so this is actually a photo of what the Havana Harbor looked like on June 25th, which is, I believe, this is Thursday, the 25th, I believe so. So this is what the Havana Harbor looked like. As you see, the sun's out, but when the sun comes out, it's going to give that orange-looking brown cloud cover, like I said in the video before. Like, this is what it looks like a lot of the time in the Saharan Desert. Like, this is not ordinary in the Caribbean. Obviously, we see dust every year, but not at this extent. Like, it looks like the apocalypse happened. This is just a scary look. Obviously, look at the air quality. Just by the photo, you can see the air quality is not good whatsoever. The sun's out, but it's just blocked by this amount of dust. It's like that very really transparent cloud cover, really, to say it's transparent cloud cover, and it's just going to minimize the amount of light coming in. It's obviously not, it's the air quality, it's just not something good whatsoever, and this is what we're going to be seeing as dust plummets into the United States here. We're going to be seeing, maybe tomorrow I can get more photos of what the United States looks like, but now let's go and check out now another photo of actually Puerto Rico. So this is actually what San Juan, Puerto Rico looked like on Monday here. On Monday, this is what they look like. And look at that. It's just dusty and very, it looks like kind of fog. It's going to be foggy, dusty, humid conditions. You can just see that dust. Like, it's minimizing the visibility here as well. It's really minimizing that visibility here. It's going to be really hard to see, especially in the early morning or at night. So this is what we're going to be seeing coming into the United States here. 4,000-mile long dust storm from the Saharan Desert all the way in the United States. So we're going to be seeing millions seeing these conditions here. Obviously, millions have respiratory issues. You guys really want to be careful. Honestly, I have asthma, so I want to be careful with this dust as it worsened in Georgia, as it worsens in the United States, and as it continues to move forward in the United States. So really need to watch out here. Well, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I'm actually going to put a couple of photos later today on my community to post of the Saharan dust in my area right now. So hope you guys do stay tuned for that, because don't really have time to put that in this video right now, but I will put maybe one or two in the community post later today. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And also, I want to have a community post question maybe tomorrow, so be sure to stay tuned for that as well. It's actually winter, has to do with the winter, so be sure to stay aware for that community post question and poll. But without further ado, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and bye guys.